Okay, can everyone hear me? Hello?
Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yes, my audio is working. I did not know it was gonna do that. I would have stayed in Fortnite if I knew that. Well, hopefully those guys we join, because, that one dude from the Discord's pretty cool, and that one Sonic dude, that Sonic dude was funny. Well, interesting, I should say. Oh, yo, people are back. Awesome. Is Sonic Man back? Yeah, this is a lot more of a relaxed game. Well, it used to be kind of hard, but again, you're only fighting NPCs, so you just have to learn the attack patterns. Not to mention, I'm max level, so I can just kind of fucking tank whatever they chuck at me. Okay, so I had 5 people watching me at the very end of my Fortnite stream. I did not intend for that to be the end. I thought that I could just switch games, no problem. But the PlayStation... Oh, hey, Sonic Man. Yeah, sorry about that. So again, I don't know shit about streaming. You know, and the only game I've ever streamed is Fortnite. So I didn't know switching games would cause the stream to just go offline, so... Yeah, this is Blue Heater 2, the best Roblox game ever. And there's a Halloween event, and I'm trying to get pumpkins so I can become witch and make a lot of shit I like. But the main reason I switched here is so I can fucking yap, right? So, all these analog horror series are just absolute pieces of fucking art. Like, I love them so much. Oh yeah, now I know not to do that, I guess. Or plan ahead, pick a game I'm good just playing a lot of. So, you know, I've always liked horror, but it's never something I've been into. Like, it's always something I've been I've dipped my toes into it, and I said, oh, that was a nice event, and I never did anything with it. But yeah, now I'm fucking watching a shitload of analog horror, and I'm having a lot of fun. Like, this is the best October ever. And so I might do. I don't know if I'm gonna Okay, so here's the thing, right? As someone who's fucking trying to become a YouTuber, which again is a unrealistic life goal, but it's still no great dream is a realistic goal. So I read the leaked Mr. Beast, I think it's called the leaked Mr. Beast document or something, and it's pretty much Mr. Beast just fucking yapping about how to be a YouTuber, pretty much. And one thing that he was very important on is your, what's the word? Your content stream. So, in this book, he talked about his friend Chris. Now, I want to clarify. He wrote this book before Chris Tyson came out to be some fucking weird-ass freak. So, he did talk about this, but again, he didn't know Chris Tyson was some weird-ass freakazoid. And the second he actually found that out, Chris Tyson was fucking gone. Anyway, so he talked about how Chris was always watching cartoons, and he was always watching comedians. He also talked about how Chris was the funny fucking dude he knows. And he said that one of the reasons Chris is so funny is because he was always watching cartoons. You know, like a regular show. He was always watching these kinds of things. Chris wouldn't be half as funny without those cartoons. So, if you want to, do something, you want to be a YouTuber, you want to talk about something, you need to realize what content you're putting in. Because I fully believe that your race, your ethnicity, your genetics, don't really play a part in who you are as a person. It is simply... Well, your childhood is the foundation, of course, but the content and the media and, your life experiences shape who you will be. Like, that's my personal belief on that. So, that is a very, like, Mr. Beast, fucking genius, man. Even if you don't like him, he's a fucking genius. And so, his comment on that really stuck with me. So that's why, of course, you know, as someone who's trying to be a 40k YouTuber, I consume a shitload of 40k content. But it can't just be 40k content. I try to consume media that I think would highlight my skills as a shitty comedian and a shitty 40k YouTuber as best as possible. Hold on. What'd you say, though? Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Sonic. Also, part of the reason I'm switching to this game is A, I need the fucking grind. Like, I need the grind, right? But another reason is so I can just read your comments without fucking getting jumped by 5,000 people. But, so, I try to consume content that I feel like will benefit me the most. And so, obviously, I consume a shitload of 40k books, you know, YouTubers, podcasts. But I also consume non-40k media, of course. Like, I consume a lot of fantasy media, you know, fantasy anime, you know, obviously not everything I consume is, obviously I'm not there fucking with a whole ass list of like, oh, well, you see, would be a suboptimal, I just try to make a generalization, oh, I think this would be good, I think analog horror fits that really well, because there's a lot of horror aspects in 40k, and, God, Blue Heater 2 is such a fucking good game, I cannot wait for the next level, no, but, there's so much, like, for example, the other day, I just got done reading the book Blood Meridian. Blood Meridian, really good book. But, you know, part of the reason why I read so much fantasy novels, so much fantasy this, is because I actually am working on my own fantasy universe. And I'm also working, I have a couple, like, universes that I want to on the books, you know, games, something. Mainly so I can get rich and fucking eat steak and sleep in every day, but... You know, I have a really well thought out fantasy universe. I have a really well thought out, well, not as well. The fantasy universe definitely has like the most content, like the most, you know, shit I put into it. Then I would say my alternate World War II history. Then after that, I have a zombie universe that I put some thought into, and then. I have a fucking Fallout 4, I have a Fallout 5, you know, fan fiction, like a script for a Fallout game. So I spend a long time, hold on, what did you just comment? Oh yeah, well thank you. So, this fantasy universe is a monument of my own retardation and autism. And so, in this fantasy universe, it is so fucking convoluted and complex, even the most mundane things. So, for example, the foundation of this world, you have multiple different dimensions, and Earth is one of them. Well, I guess all worlds one of them. And then you have a dimension of the gods. This dimension is essentially a whole dimension filled with essentially every god from every pantheon. This would include, so you'd have Zeus, and, you know, Thor, and fucking Buddha. Well, I know Buddha wasn't a god, he was just like a guy. But anyway, you have Buddha, right? Let's just say, for example, so you have this whole dimension that's all these, like, mythical figures, you know, manticores, all this shit. Then you have another dimension that's essentially hell, and another dimension that's essentially heaven. So, you know, me myself, I am... And of course you have all world. And you also have this weird dark dimension thing, but anyway... So you have all these different dimensions. Earth is obviously the main one, because of course, well, I'm from Earth too. So, I like the idea that angels and demons being in our world is both equally terrifying. Like, it is wrong. If an angel shows up in my fantasy universe, it is not wrong. Like, it is fucking horrifying. And... So that's like the foundation, right? But all these different dimensions all essentially are like floating islands sitting on top of this deep ocean. But I'll get into that in a minute. So, in this world, you have a lot of different... So, essentially, all sentient creatures are like a teensy tiny bit magical. Like, what gives you sentience is obviously your own evolution, but also a little bit of magic. So to have sentience, you can become, like, as a basic creature, as smart as possible, but you won't have true sentience unless it's just a teensy smidge of magic. And, of course, it's genetic, right? So, humans are essentially just like, an evolved animal. We evolved from monkeys, both in our timeline and in this timeline. So humans are, like, the very, like, low end in terms of, like, a magical creature. And then you would have... Hold on, what'd you say there? Oh, shit, well, this is just a homework. You're gonna love the shit I have. Yo, okay, so I have this one... I am, like, really, really fucking paranoid. And so because of this, before I told anyone about my fantasy, before I even told my friends about any of the worlds I came up with, like, I will literally be like, man, I really want to tell my friend about this world. So I'll just fucking yap into a microphone for about an hour about, like, the basics of the universe. Fucking post it to YouTube, locked, so no one can see it. Just as evidence, so if someone fucking steals my universe, I can be like, hey, this guy stole it! No, but anyway. So you have humans that hold on, I gotta read that comment. Oh, hell yeah. I'm having fun talking to you, man. So, anyway. God damn. Yo, you're funny as shit. So, anyway. Humans are essentially just an animal that evolved, but a little pinch of magic in the brain just to make, add sentience. But, for about out of 100 humans, one of them is essentially a wizard. Like, they essentially have wizard powers. But I'll get into that in a minute. So then, the other sentient races. You have abhumans. Abhumans, so humans are the most, like, prevalent race. But there are multiple different strains of humans. One of these strains would be the dwarves. Dwarves are a type of abhuman. An abhuman is a human that, via normal evolution or a little bit of magic, or typically both, they came out a little bit different. So, for example, I'm not gonna lie, there are catgirls in this world. Tail, eels. I'm not gonna lie, I have them. That's a type of abhuman. So that is a human that, due to the influence of magic, evolved to be light on their feet, quiet, and, evolved to have, the eels and tails. So they have better senses. But they're still human. Like, fundamentally, it's still human. Like, you cut them open, it's a human. It's just a human with a little bit of seasoning. Dwarves, pretty much same thing. Just like me, they're just short little guys. They're fucking wide, strong, all that stuff. Hold on, what did the other guy say? Yeah, so all of those, like, dwarves, all that shit, that's abhumans. Demi-humans, on the other hand, are animals who evolved to become more humanoid. So, for example, a cat girl who has normal smooth skin, the only, like, cat features is she's a bit light on her feet, and, maybe, like, eels, tails. But that is a human who evolved to have animalistic traits. A demi-human is an animal that, via extensive magic, the world's magic influencing the creature, evolved to be very, very human-like. So this is essentially furries. Like, essentially, essentially a furry. So, like, if a lizard, evolved to be more human-like, it's essentially a furry. Like, full scales, a cat evolves to be human, full fur. Meanwhile, if a lizard man still looks like mostly human, like a human skin, but like a few lizard-like features, that's a, demi-human. So different categories. And then there's monsters. Now, monsters are not inherently bad. It's kind of like Undertale monsters, where, like, a monster is a species that is they're essentially magic. But they still have flesh, blood, and they still reproduce, like, normally. It's just like the creation of the species was purely magic. So, humans, and all the demi-humans, same thing. Abhumans, various animals that evolved to be human-like. Then you have monsters. Again, monsters, not inherently evil. Like, for example, minotaurs. Minotaurs are just kind of fucking chilling. Like, there's just a bunch of Minotaurs in Greece that are just straight up chilling, even though they're monsters, but, you know, they're just chilling like that. So, the oldest creature in this world, like, from Earth, is this thing called the Elder Dragon. The Elder Dragon essentially controls all the magic, but he essentially gave up control because he kind of got bored. Like, he's been around since the dinosaurs. So he began having children, and when I say he had children, he didn't reproduce asexually. He doesn't really have... I refer to him as he, but he doesn't really have a gender, right? He just kind of like essentially molded children out of clay, the Elder Dragons. And these are dragons that all have one magical aspect. But this guy, he controls everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. So, how the magic works. Magic is magic, but it stops being magic when it hits you. So, for example, if someone creates lightning out of magic, or someone creates fire out of magic, that fire itself is magic. So, like, if I have someone with magic resistance, it's not gonna work. But if they're wearing fucking clothes, guess what? That magic fire... Hold on. Shit, goddamn right. Bo did not have Blue Hito 2 to entertain himself. He got bored. So, anyway. I like the idea that after millions of years, he was just like, man, this is kind of quiet. The dinosaurs ain't much company, so he just fucking... Anyway, so... So if someone's immune to magic, let's say someone's immune to magic. You shoot them with fire. The magical fireball didn't hurt them, but they're wearing clothes, and that fire is still hot. So it then caught their clothes on fire, and so now they're burning from the fucking clothes. Even if they have full magical immunity, congratulations, they're now on fire, right? And most people don't have magical immunity. And there's all sorts of, you know, random wizard bullshit. But, alright, so, okay, there's two main things I want to cover. I want to cover, like, the whole power system as a whole, and then I want to cover, like, the main historical event on why the dragons almost went extinct. So I have this main historical event on why humanity got sent back to a dark age, and why the dragons are almost fucking extinct. But I also want to discuss the power system. So I'm thinking which one would I do first. Okay, I'm going to talk about the power system a little bit first. So, a basic human, a basic orc, a basic this, that, the other. Essentially, every creature, even if it's not magically inclined, has the ability to become a martial artist. Now, martial arts, if I remember correctly, does not actually mean like a fighting style. It just means discipline. And that's kind of the same thing in my world. So essentially, if you are disciplined, right, and you get on that, I'm going to say something so fucking brainwashed. You get on that Sigma male grind set and you're just lifting weights, you will get stronger, but not like human stronger where, oh, you lift a heavier weight. No, like super, like Steve Rogers, like fucking Captain America. Like, you get strong enough to just pick up a small truck and chuck that shit. Just from just consistently training. That is something everyone can do. So, the difference between a well-trained human and a non-well-trained human is pretty big, but in this world, it's just a lot fucking higher. Like, there's no magic, well, it is magic. The idea is, when you are training, like really training as hard as you can, magic essentially creates wounds on your muscles, on your body, on your fucking lungs, just everywhere. And it essentially gives you superhuman abilities. Hold on. I'm gonna read that comment real quick. Oh, yeah. Well, you can pretty much Chad Max. So, that's a power everyone can use. And martial arts isn't just, oh yeah, I hit hard, and you know, I hit sword hard. It's also, you become superhumanly good with your weapon. Like, a bowman in real life, like a real historical bowman, can hit some really insane shots. A bowman in this universe could hit a shot from like a mile away perfectly with like less than an inch of arrow. Like, you know how Steve Rogers in the MCU is able to throw his shield in a way where it bounces off like 10 people before coming right back to him? That is something any average person with a lifetime of training could do in my universe. No powers, no magic, no anything. That's just what a basic fucking human, not human, basic orc, anything can do. And it's not transferable. Like, someone who's a master swordsman isn't going to be a master bowman, unless you train both of them at once, of course. But again, becoming a master bowman and a master swordsman is kind of like being like a master surgeon and a master astronaut. You know what I mean? So if you want to learn like multiple different things, unless you're some sort of freak, odds are you're going to be shitty at all of them. So being so strong, you can... Okay, here's the thing about... here's the thing. My fantasy universe is a monument of shit that pisses me off. So, for example, do fantasy writers not just think about basic biomechanics? So, okay, I am short as shit, but I'm also wide. So I'm fat and strong. I'm literally like a real-life dwarf, right? Well, okay, not that short. I'm like 5'6", but I'm really strong. You know, I'm lifting weights all the time. Hold on, what do you comment? Yeah, you gotta grind. So, think about that. I'm sorry, not orcs. Dwarves are short to the ground, they're slow, they burn a lot of calories by moving. Because, why are humans so tall? And obviously, I'm not the tallest guy, but as a whole, humans are still fucking tall. Humans have long legs. Even though I have short legs, I have long legs compared to most animals. That's because it allows us to move a large distance with a lot of ease. You know what I mean? Dwarves don't have that, so that makes sense that dwarves would, you know, mine, because that's what they're good at. Like, I am very fucking strong. I'm not fast, but I'm very fucking strong, so mining makes sense. What doesn't make sense to me is dwarves eating a shitload of food and meat. Like, do you know how much energy and how difficult it'd be for them to have, even just grow wheat? You know, watch over or hold a sheep? That'd be really fucking hard for them to do. Not impossible, of course. I mean, they can. But it'd be really hard, especially, you know, growing said food when they live in a mountain, essentially. Well, you know, a mined-out mountain. So you have a dude who sucks at walking a long distance out of his fucking, you know, cave. Well, his bunker, I guess. So he's walking all the time. That's consuming a lot of energy, a lot of unnecessary energy, doing all this shit just to go farm. So in this world, most dwarves survive, like, they only eat, like, two things, essentially. They eat things that they traded for, because dwarves have a lot of metal, they are very good craftsmen, so they, of course, would have money, and, of course, they could just trade their craft for food. So if dwarves are eating wheat, they're eating bread, they're eating, you know, meat. Odds are, unless there's, like, some sort of random dwarf that just really, really enjoys being a goat farmer, they bought that from a human or from a little creature. What dwarves typically eat, like the food they grow, is actually mushrooms. Because mushrooms, you don't have to move around too much. Oh, what's that? You have to bend down to pick them up? You mean that closer to the ground? They're already there. So most dwarves eat, you know, in my world, you know, they eat mushrooms. Or they, you know, buy it off of someone else. Because a human, biomechanically, would have a much easier time growing wheat and, you know, holding cattle. Like, shit, imagine like a 5'7" goat farmer or sheep farmer versus a fucking 3-foot tall dwarf goat farmer. That fucking dwarf goat farmer's gonna lose goats every day, or sheep every day, because he can't fucking see them. He's short. Meanwhile, the human can just look up and be like, hey, get your ass over here. So yeah, that's one random autistic rant done. So anyway, we have as a power system. Oh yeah, what I'm trying to say, Steve Rogers. Steve, do you know how fucking scary Steve Rogers is as a character? Like, he's street tier, but he's fucking terrifying. You remember that dumbass debate whether if 100 men could beat one gorilla in a fight? First of all, 100 men are slamming that fucking gorilla. 30 of those men are fucking dying. A lot of those men are getting fucking injured. A gorilla can lift like 16 to 1,800 pounds. Steve Rogers can lift 5 fucking thousand pounds. So you're dealing with a creature that is like 2.5 gorillas duct taped together. So you're dealing with a fucking creature that's 2.5 gorillas fucking duct taped together. Gorillas are so strong, they can shadow your entire goddamn skeleton with a single flick. But yet Steve Rogers is shown punching people. Hold on, I'm gonna read that comment real quick. No, that was fun. But a gorilla can fucking shadow a human skeleton with one punch. Meanwhile, Steve Rogers out here beating the shit out of normal dudes and they're fine. What the fuck? Is the average human in the MCU made out of fucking vibranium? So, that I call this is actually, Steve Rogers is the pinnacle of my power scaling in this universe. Because I hate power scaling when there's one character who's so cartoonishly strong, he can destroy nations. Because I feel like most stories don't write that well. That's not an inherently bad thing. I just don't like it because it's very hard to walk around. So, in my world, the most powerful, you can have a dude who's the master martial artist, master or a user, master everything. He's literally a master of fucking everything. Strongest human being that ever lived. He gets jumped by like 50 well-trained martial artists. He's getting his ass whooped. Hold on, I gotta read that comment real quick. That's fail? Like, that's so fail? Okay, that is fail. I will admit that is fail. Steve Rogers definitely not like, Steve Rogers definitely does hold back, but you still kind of get what I'm saying, right? Like, a gorilla can accidentally whip your goddamn arm off because of how strong it is. So Steve Rogers, 2.5 of those shits duct taped together. So Steve Rogers is kind of the pinnacle of my universe. Because he's what an average man can become. If Steve Rogers is dropped into my fantasy universe, he's going to be doing pretty good. Like, again, most people are way weaker than... Okay, in the same way how most people are never going to be, like, peak human. Like, most people who could have, like, the genetics, have the talent to enter the Olympics, they're not going to fucking do it because they don't have the dedication, they don't have the will, or they just don't have the money. Yeah, the MCU. I'm gonna avoid talking about the MCU because I will just yap about that for an hour. But so he's gonna be doing pretty good. In the same way, how if you were to drop, if there was some dude from a different dimension who was essentially a well-trained Navy SEAL, you drop him in our world, he's gonna get pretty good. You know, he's gonna join the military. He's gonna do good. Dropping Steve Rogers in my universe should be like that. But obviously, you take a well-trained Navy SEAL and you put him in a physical 1v1 fight against Mike Tyson, he's getting his ass whooped. You drop 5 Navy SEAls against Mike Tyson. Again, no weapons. They're jumping in. They're going to whoop his ass. Like, you can have the world's strongest man who's also a martial artist. He gets jumped by, like, 10 dudes. He's getting his ass whooped. My universe, the power scaling should be like that, but obviously extended. Because Mike Tyson's strong. He's still getting his head whipped off by a gorilla. Meanwhile, there are just dudes running around my universe. Like, normal, well-trained dudes who are, like, 2.5 gorillas duct taped together. But again, that's just basic martial arts. There's a vital power system that all sentient creatures can use. It is called soul bending. Soul bending is actually kind of cool. It's not just punching people like, you know, martial arts. It's actually pretty cool. Soul bending is the art of taking out your fucking soul from your body. Oh, what did I just unlock? It's taking your fucking soul out of your body. Like, flat out whipping it out. And using it and crafting it into a weapon. And it can be a number of different things. It can, similar to Steve Rogers, you can make a shield out of it. You can make a sword. You can make a fireball. But if you make a fireball, every time you use it, your soul will get weaker. This will mean not only does your weapon get weaker, it also means that you get tired. Now, it's not an insta-kill. It's not like your soul is stuck at 100%. And if it goes below that, you die. Hold on 1 second. Oh, yeah, it gets better. Again, I'm starting out... Again, I'm sorry, man. I love talking to you, but you gotta eat your vegetables first. So, you start out by... So, let's say you have someone who uses fire magic. Let's say you have someone who whips out their fucking soul, but uses it essentially like fire magic, where they just cast fireball. Every fireball they cast, their body will become weaker, and they will become more tired. Hold on. Yeah. So every time they shoot a fireball, they will get more tired, they'll get more frail until they, relax, they have something to eat, they take a few days off, just like lifting weights in real life, you can't lift weights all the time. It's kind of like that with soul magic. But, you have a sword made out of your soul, it breaks. You can repair it, but you're going to be a lot tired, or you're going to be a lot weaker after that until your soul recovers. But your soul will recover to 100%. So yeah, that is soul magic. And you can pretty much do anything with it. But you do have to have a strong willpower. You have to have strong willpower, and you have to, train it. Alright. So, that's the two, basic magics out of the way. Well, there is a third, where essentially... So, you know how there's a dimension that's essentially heaven, a dimension that's essentially hell. By the way, just to clarify, humans, no sentient creature goes to heaven or hell when they die. There's a separate area you go when you die. That all people go when they die. But heaven and hell, the angels in heaven are not trying to help you, to become a better person. The demons in hell are not trying to, get you to do drugs. It's its own creatures. It's its very own things, and our world is essentially just like a side project. Not even a side project, just like a third thing that exists. Yeah, kinda. But again, soul magic is still fairly street tier. Because again, I want a normal person who's essentially I want a normal person to be able to train themselves, a normal person with no skill, no magic, be able to train themselves up physically as a martial artist, to at least be able, if a bunch of well-trained martial artists jump anyone, they'll be able to take them down. So soul magic, very powerful, still not exceedingly better than martial arts. You'll have some fucking wizard, well, not even a wizard, because a wizard is a separate category. You have some dude who's a master soul magic user who creates fireballs. He gets fucking jumped by 3 Steve Rogers-esque soldiers. They fucking whip his head off. But yeah, now we get into the cool shit that only some people can do. Oh yeah, there are some people, well, not some people, everyone can also do this. They essentially commune with beings from other dimensions, and in exchange for doing tasks or just being liked by them, they get a small percentage of that creature's power. This means that a priest, a Christian priest, who is drawing power from heaven, is in the same category of, is using the exact same power system as a Satanist drawing power from the devil. You can also use this to get possessed. Anyone can make a deal with a devil, angel, or dark entity. Three different things, by the way. And essentially allow themselves to be possessed like the Venom symbiote in exchange for something. So, yeah. Those are the 3 power systems that anyone can use. Right? Here's some shit that only some people can use. Straight up magic. Like actual magic. Now, this magic system is somewhat inspired by the power system from Warhammer Fantasy. Now, most people who are born wizards are only born 1 out of 100. Out of 100 people, only one's wizards. And that's essentially the same throughout all sentient races. Except elves and dragons. All elves and dragons are wizards. Most of them are born essentially with wall magic. So essentially, they go into... Magic flows from the earth. And the environment that it lands in shapes it. So, for example, we're in a desert right now in-game. A sand wizard, someone who, a wizard who manipulates sand or creates sand, would be stronger in this area because they are feeding directly from the area. Meanwhile, a wizard that let's say uses ice magic, but they use ice magic, but they weren't born an ice wizard. They are a wizard. They're essentially a wall wizard. They use wall magic, so they can do whatever they want. So someone born with wall magic, they can become a fire wizard, an ice wizard, a sand wizard. Meanwhile, a sand wizard who's born a sand wizard is stuck as a sand wizard. So someone who uses wall magic who also uses sand. So let's say you have someone who's born a sand wizard and someone who becomes a sand wizard. The guy who becomes a sand wizard, you drop him in the middle of the desert, he's just as strong as he is in Antarctica, because he's drawing power from the earth itself, not from the biome. Meanwhile, the sand wizard is drawing power from the biome he's from. So an ice wizard, is still gonna be strong in, let's say, next to a volcano, but he would be strong in Antarctica. Meanwhile, you drop a sand wizard in, let's say, somewhere where there's no sand. He's still going to be strong. He's still going to be able to do sand magic, but he's going to be weaker. As opposed to the guy who becomes a sand wizard. The sand wizard guy, it doesn't matter if there's, sand everywhere, sand nowhere. He's going to stay the same. But the guy who's born a sand wizard, gets weaker and stronger based on the biome. Hold on, I got to read your comment. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, two guys, one's born a sand wizard, one has wall magic but becomes a sand wizard. You drop them in different environments. The guy who's born a sand wizard, his power will fluctuate based on the biome. Meanwhile, the guy who becomes a sand wizard, his power stays the same. He doesn't get stronger or weaker. Right? And magic, if you're born as, like, but here's the thing. People who are born in a certain element will always be the strongest wizards. Like, they have the potential to be strongest. They just have more wall power. Like, they're stronger. As opposed to someone who's more versatile. But let's say you're born wall magic. You can do whatever the fuck you want with it. Do you want to become a mind wizard? There are straight up wizards who study people's souls and minds. And can literally cast PTSD. They can cast suicidal thoughts and depression. They can fucking cast childhood trauma. They can cast panic attack. Or you can have a wizard who just decides to fly. He just crafts the ability to fly. Or you can have a wizard who can summon, creatures made out of magic to fight for him. It is just very, very versatile. Very, very versatile. Also, if two wizards make a baby, that baby does not have a higher likelihood of being a wizard. I did that because it kind of annoys me when Hunter x Hunter is one of the best power systems, but it's also a lot of things are overlooked. Like, for example, why aren't Nen users is fucking like a lot. Like, you remember the Zodiac fam? If you don't know, in Hunter x Hunter, people with Nen are just OP. Like, you can have an entire city worth of troops. A really powerful Nen user can just wipe them all out. So the Zodiac family are like this family of assassins. And most of their kids are really strong. Not all of them are really strong, but most of them are really strong. No, I'm gonna be so honest. If I was like the dad in the Zodiac family in Hunter x Hunter, and I was like the dad of the Zodiac family, I'd be fucking. Like, I would just be producing so many children. Like, whole armies of it. Same thing in what's it called? Black Clover, where most people are kind of like weak, but you have some wizards who are just really fucking strong. Bro, I would be putting up Kangaskhan Khan level numbers, but a wizard would have no reason to, because again, it's still just a 1 out of 100 chance. This would essentially mean that a single royal family wouldn't just be wizards and, be able to take over. Then there's internal magic. Internal magic. People who are... Internal magic is fairly similar to, external magic. External magic is that stuff I was just yapping about with all the wizard crap. Internal magic is more similar to Nen from Hunter x Hunter, where you don't have an unlimited supply. Like, a wizard, like an actual wizard, who is using sand magic... Hold on, what'd you say? Well, I mean, I don't think it's that crazy I put it like that at all. Like, in Hunter x Hunter, I don't know if you watch Hunter x Hunter. There's one episode where a single fucking bug shows up to Earth, and it almost wipes out humanity, because humans are way weaker than this bug. So, me and my 5,000 kids would save the damn world. Like, the way I see it, if you're in Hunter x Hunter, and you're an end user, and you're not just pumping out kids, you're evil. You're destroying humanity. Like, the world suffers a lot. Napoleon said this. The world suffers a lot, not from the violence of good, not from the not from the violence of bad people, but from the silence of good people. Shit, man, if you're in that world where your kids can fucking level mountains, and those threats that want to destroy humanity and can destroy humanity, and you're not doing something about it, you're evil. Yeah, but power is not really genetic. Like, obviously there's like genetics, like, if you have two people who are, short, they're gonna have a... Also, I don't know why I didn't mention this before. I want to clear up for something. Okay, this is gonna sound really bad when I say this. Given the fact I was just talking about, having like 5,000 kids if I was strong, this is gonna sound really bad. If two different sentient species breed in my universe, all of the female children will be the same race as the mother, and all the male children will be the same race as the father. So if an orc male and a female elf, make kids, all of the daughters will be elf and all the sons will be orc. But yeah, so anyway, in Total Magic, a sand wizard can in theory go for a long time. Like, it still does hurt them using high amounts of magic, even if unlimited magic is around. Think about it how, if you have, let's say, a PlayStation 5 that you're streaming games on, if you were to flood the electronic with too much electricity, it would hurt the electronic. It's kind of like that with with wizards, where if they have too much magic and they use too much of it, that it will kind of fry their nervous system and it will halt their magic circuits and all that stuff. Internal wizards don't really have to worry about that, though, because they have a set amount of magic, but that means they can run out of magic. Hold on. Listen, I'm gonna be so real. If my universe were to become a successful novel, there are straight up just like cat people and dog people. Not like humans with cat ears and dog ears and stuff. Like, full on, oh yeah, this guy evolved from a fucking dog. The amount of furries that are going to flock to this universe. And I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a furry, but furries have a lot of money. So I don't mind pandering to them a little bit. I don't mind pandering them to a little bit to get some attention. That's all I'm gonna say. I think they're gonna be okay with that rule. Also, I did it because there's a lot of different races that the one thing that really pisses me off is, hold on, what'd you say? That's what I'm saying. So, one thing that really pisses me off about most universes in general, not just fantasy, but everything, most of them feel like the entire world exists to support the story. There is no single story in my world. It's a setting that can contain stories in that. And that's one of the many reasons why I kind of have almost like a cap, a limiter on how strong a creature can get. Because I hate the idea. There's only two stories that handle mega overpowered protagonists well. One Punch Man, because it's a fucking comedy, and JJK, because the entire goddamn point of that story is having these OP creatures. Every other story, I feel like it's cheap. I feel like it cheapens a story that you'll have millions of people all wanting one thing, but one dude is just way stronger than them, so he can just do whatever the fuck he wants. In this world, if you are the strongest creature in the world, besides the World Dragon, because he has some bullshit hacks I'll get into later, you can be the most powerful man in the whole world. Physically, I mean. But if again, 50 well-trained men jump you, you're fucked. If you go into a guild and you just pick a fight, it doesn't matter how strong you are. People have hacks in this world. People straight up hack in this world. Like for example, again, You can straight up... Hold on. I gotta weed out what you just said. Yeah, thank you. And that's... so, a general... Like, let's say there's a general. And this general controls, let's say, 1,000 well-trained soldiers. That general is more powerful than any one person could be. Even like a fucking elder dragon who's insanely strong would almost certainly lose to 1,000 well-trained men if they have a good variety of weapons. Another thing that pisses me off about most fantasy universes is most fantasy universes simply see weapon as weapon. They don't actually think, how would this work against this creature? Like, think, man, if you're fighting an army of lizard men who are stronger than you and have thick scales, if you hit them with a sword's gonna fucking bend, or it's at least gonna be ineffective. A normal spear isn't gonna be too effective. You would want a spear that has a very thin and strong point, so it can pierce the scales. But again, it's not like swords wouldn't do anything. You can jab their eyes, you can hit their weak spots, or, you hit the same scale enough. But yeah, weapon loadouts are very important. So like, if you have a fire dragon versus 1,000 well-trained men, but all 1,000 well-trained men only have swords, the dragon might actually win that because he can just fucking fly above them and just keep firing them. But you have some good spearmen who know how to throw. You have some good, bowmen. Some good wizards who can cast some long-range spells. That dragon's fucked. Yeah. So what was I yapping about? Yeah. So internal wizards. So there's external wizards, the guys are talking about, and then internal wizards. Internal wizards, they create their own magic, essentially, and they're a lot of them are a lot more physical. Like, most wizards are, shooting stuff at you, or, using some form of magical bullshit. A lot of these internal wizards just use their internal magic to increase their own bodies, like their own strength, like their skin, this, that, or the other. But again, they're similar to Hunter x Hunter. So essentially, internal wizards are kind of like Nen users from Hunter x Hunter. Like, I think that internal wizards do have a lot of inspiration from Nen users from Hunter x Hunter, but there are some differences. Like, they're a lot more versatile. They're not really, like, stuck in their, like, particular type. They can, again, do kind of whatever they want. They can come up with their own ability. But yeah, that is another thing with that type of wizardry. Or with that type of, power system. Now that I have the base power system covered, I'm gonna go into the fucking history of Bearcat. God, I have turbo autism. Okay, so using the power... You know what? That's it. It's time to activate my super autism. Okay, so, a long time ago, about 10,000 years before Jesus. By the way, Jesus and Muhammad do exist in this world, but they're not talked about, and okay, they are talking about, like, Islam and your Christianity are still religions, but I don't like the idea of directly touching on Muhammad or directly touching on Jesus, because again, I feel like that's a can of worms I don't want to do. Like, they should simply be... They're characters you hear about, not characters you follow. But yeah, so now that you have the basic power system, about 10,000 years before Jesus was born, a human civilization that took thousands of years to build up. Again, when I say, 10,000 years before Jesus was born, the civilization collapsed 10,000 years before Christ. So, it took them thousands of years to build up, but these guys were very steampunk-esque, and these guys were very, very magically inclined. They discovered, upon one of their many, many discoveries, these guys discovered the ability to take a wizard and essentially remove the magic from their soul, turn it into a crystal, embed it in somebody, and then that person would then have that wizard's abilities without having to train or without having to be born with them. And the crystals could stack. So in theory, you could put 20 crystals in one guy. Now, this was discovered, again, probably at least hundreds and hundreds of years before the civilization collapsed. Now, this civilization didn't really allow outsiders to join. It was a very slow grow. It wasn't like the British Empire, where they fucking expanded super fast and then fizzled out. These guys They took their time. They expanded. They started in Antarctica. By the way, forgot to mention this. Antarctica is more like Finland throughout most of it. Like the external of it is kind of like Italy, but the internals is like Finland. But anyway, it's still livable. This civilization originated from Antarctica, and they spread to Australia. Also, one thing to note. What's that? Oh, hold on. I have to plug my phone in. Okay, what's that? New Zealand. New Zealand is actually its own continent that is simply underwater, pretty much. But this is real life. This is real life. This is not, talking about my universe. But in real life, New Zealand is its own continent, but most of it's underwater, so it just gets warped into Oceania. In this world, that continent is fully above water, so that's more land to fuck around with. These guys spread to that area. They also spread to Latin America, a teensy tiny bit in North America, but not much. A little bit in Europe, a little bit in, the Middle East. Also, this is going to be important for later. This is why those dungeons in my world, like in the medieval times where those wizards and shit, that's why those dungeons is because it's the leftover civilization. Anyway, these guys became really fucking powerful and very steampunk. There's one power system I didn't really note earlier. Well, if you carve magical wounds into something, it will then have that power. But magical wounds have limited power, and you have to be very precise with them. So they're very hard to use. So mostly dwarves use them. Anyway, so because of this, this civilization though, this old steampunk civilization had magical wounds that were unfathomably powerful compared to the modern stuff. Like one of these guys' achievements, like one of their head achievements, is they created an entire floating city of over 2 million people that could simply float on the air and they could fucking pilot like a ship. This big ass airship city. And they also created are you still here, Sonic? They created an artificial species that was half human and half monster. An abomination. This species is known as the elves. They created elves specifically to factory farm them. I see you, Sonic. Specifically factory farm them so they could essentially factory farm magical crystals. Because wizard humans are still only 1 in 100. So they created this artificial species of creatures. Again, elves did not exist until the species fucking created them. They created the elves to factory farm them for their crystals. And because of this, also, crystals, when you put them in someone, they kind of dissolve into that person. But if you cut them out where you insert the crystal will rematerialize. And if you pull them out of that person loses that magical ability. Because of this, if someone dies of old age, you can take their crystals out. If they had 10 crystals, you just have 10 fucking crystals now. And you can implant them in 10 other people, or you can implant them all. So you'll have your fucking grandpa dies, and you just turned 16. So, hey Timmy, it's time to shove some fucking magical rocks in you. So yeah, that is something really neat. Because of this, these guys became fucking strong. Like, really fucking strong. Like, a normal dude had the power to fly, shoot lightning, do all this shit. The average person, after this civilization existing for over 1,000 years. Hold on, I'm gonna read what you said. Yeah, so these guys again. These guys have existed for over 1,000 years, and they've been collecting crystals for hundreds. The very first crystal they created can still be used today. So because of that, these guys became very arrogant and very egotistical. They didn't really allow other species or even other humans to join. So these guys expanded very slowly, but they still expanded. Eventually, though, you ever hold the saying, the curiosity killed the cat, and the more you fuck around, the more you find out? These guys summoned an angel. Not just any angel, an archangel. An archangel is one of the most powerful beings in this universe. Like, when I say, oh yeah, you take the strongest... Hold up, I gotta read what you just said. I'm getting fucking jumped by demons. Well, yeah, they kind of like fucked around. Again, the false crystals were made out of actual... Oh, shit, I just died. Well, the false crystals were made out of actual people. Like, you know, people wizards. But later on, less than 100 years later, they created the elf species so they could get crystals more efficiently. So yeah, those false human crystals are still just kicking around. So, these guys were very arrogant, very powerful. Very fucking cool guys. Well, assholes, because again, the elves were sentient, and they fucking enslaved... They created a slave race to factory farm. March angle now? Oh, yeah. They summoned an archangel. Now, when I said audio, if you grab the strongest human to ever live, and you put him against 50 well-trained men, they're gonna jump him and kill him. Although, again, probably like 20 of them are, at least 20 of them are gonna die. But it's gonna be like the gorilla situation, where the men can still overcome it and fucking kill him. You put the world's strongest man against even the weakest archangel, they are going to fucking die. You would need dozens of wizards. You would need dozens of, you know, martial artists. You would need that really powerful, you know, example guy just to even have a chance at taking down an archangel. These guys summoned an archangel, fucking jumped it and killed it. And there's one other thing I did not mention earlier about one of the various power systems. If you can essentially entrap someone in metal. Okay, so if you take someone, you can essentially whip their soul out of their corpse and put it into something. This something can be armor, can be stone. Typically, it's something made out of metal. They grabbed its fucking soul and shoved it into a metal body. But they didn't... The angel refused to power it. So they essentially killed this angel, trapped it in this metal coffin, this like cyber angel that was nicknamed Angel X. Angel X was their own artificial angel and the most powerful weapon this civilization had. But again, it refused to power itself. And nothing they had... So, this civilization also had what were known as brass automaton. Brass automaton is essentially, you take someone's soul after they die, and you shove it into essentially a brass robot. Now, the brass robot is well machined. Like, it's well crafted. But again, it's just essentially... It's essentially a big-ass action figure. You know, it will just kind of die. It will not die, but it won't do anything. Like, you'll be able to move its legs and stuff, but if it doesn't have a fuel source, it doesn't do anything. And the fuel source is a soul. So, imagine Grandpa dies. You whip out his fucking magic crystals and you put it into, you know, your 10-year-old nephew. Instead of letting his soul fucking fade away, you'd grab this man's fucking soul, shove it in one of these brass automaton, and you just kind of keep Grandpa around. But the thing is, when you're put into the soul, or when you're put into the brass automaton, your soul loses its memory. So you, as a person, are gone, but the brass automaton will still have your personality, your intelligence, your mannerisms. So essentially, you lose all your memories, but all of the things your memories created are still there. So, a 5-star general dies, you don't want to lose that talent, you shove his ass in a brass automaton after he dies. He doesn't remember why he's a 5-star general, he doesn't remember climbing the ladder, but he still has all the skills and the mannerisms of the 5-star general. So yeah, this civilization had legions of brass automaton. Oh, also I forgot. Most like brass automaton... Oh shit, I gotta read out what you said. Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. If you imagine you have a plumber, right, and he dies, are you gonna let his ass go to heaven, or are you gonna shove him in a fucking robot so he can fix your goddamn, your plumbing issues? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, because of this, part of the reason this civilization was so prosperous is because they had millions of brass automaton doing construction, fighting their wars. So these guys were so fucking strong, they could level cities with their own magical power because they had... Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So these guys An average fucking dude had multiple magical crystals inside of him and could fucking level a small town if he wanted to, on top of having hundreds of blast automatons. Also, the stronger a soul is, blast automatons are not powered by someone's magic. They're powered by the soul. So someone can be super magical, but they have a normal soul. The blast automaton is going to be normally powerful. So these guys had millions of human blast automaton. They also had millions of elf automaton. Now, because when you put someone's soul in this robot, they lose their memories, the elves didn't remember being fucking tortured by humans. So the elf would essentially just get a job as a construction worker, a soldier, in this blast automaton. So because they had millions of elf blast automatons and millions of human blast automatons, on top of having millions of humans who were insanely fucking powerful. Like, humans who had multiple crystals that were dedicated to flight could fly faster than a fucking fighter jet. Or fighter jet, I mean. Like, there was some bullshit. You know how I mentioned they had Angel X? Well, the more you fuck around, the more you find out. They realized that all of the magical dimensions sat on top of an ocean. And this ocean was made out of pure power. But this power was not magic, like every other dimension. Like, for example, a Greek god in their dimension using magic is the same as, using magic in our world. It's all magic. It's all beautiful. This shit was corruptive. It was evil. And it felt weird. Hold on, I'm going to read that comment. Good question. The soul cannot gain more power, but it can use the power it has better. So, if you shove someone in a blast automaton, and low-key they were just kind of a very weak person who never went through hardships, and who had a very boring life, it's gonna be kind of weak and mid. But if you have someone who's a fucking warrior, a general, someone who fought their entire life, someone who had a very interesting life, and someone who had a really strong willpower, that blast automaton will be stronger. In the same way how someone using soul magic, someone who's more disciplined, like mentally, and someone, if you discipline yourself mentally and you have a good life, your soul will shine brighter. So your soul doesn't get more powerful, but it essentially becomes more disciplined. And so, if you were to take someone who's a master soul wizard, someone who can take out the fucking soul and use it as a knife, who's really good at that, you put them in blast automaton, that blast automaton is going to be really fucking strong. Meanwhile, if you take some fucking Discord mod who doesn't do anything, who's just kind of like a weak person, and you shove him into a blast automaton, that blast automaton is going to be kind of weak. Very good question. I love fucking questions. Okay, I love when people are inquisitive like that. I fucking love that so much. Alright, so, they essentially tunneled underneath all of the magical floating islands. Hold on, I gotta read what you just said. Thank you. Good question, by the way. So, they dug underneath all these magical islands. And, they essentially began pulling power from this quote-unquote ocean that all of these different places sit upon. By the way, when I mean sit upon, I don't mean like Earth isn't directly sitting on this ocean. It's like its own dimension. It's just that the dimension is sitting upon this thing. So, they drew power from it. And they began to experiment. They didn't immediately jump to Angel X because they didn't want to fuck up their stuff. They essentially made upgraded blast automaton that was stronger. Except instead of being made out of brass and kind of glowing, like gold, like they would glow bright, like they'd make bright light. These new ones would glow purple and they would turn silver. But that's okay because they were stronger. Don't worry about it. Listen. Taking all this eldritch bullshit and shoving it into a robot is completely fine. Yeah, so it's completely fine. Don't worry about it. Now, you remember the Elder Dragon, who had complete mastery over all magic on Earth, but he got bored and he allowed it to spread and infect. Well, not to infect, but to imbue its power with the various creatures. And that's why, we have cow people, dog people, humans. Again, you can't be sentient without magic. So the entire reason humans exist sentiently at least. Animals can still exist without magic, but the whole reason humans exist is because this dragon allowed it to. This dragon threw up, fucking panicked, and essentially just looked horrified because he never felt this before. He knew that this ocean existed. He didn't know what its power felt like. He just knew it was wrong and should never be fucked with. He immediately felt all the way over in the Americas. That's essentially nearby Montana. That's where he lives. He felt these fucking idiots messing with this magical bullshit from Antarctica. He created all the dragons. So he created all the elder dragons, but he created them with like actual like male and female reproductive organs. So he created like a few hundred. Hold on, let me read what you just said. Oh my god, yeah, the dragon felt that dude screaming 6'7" while he's running at me with a knife and fucking just flipped out. So, this dragon felt that. This dragon, that hundreds of thousands of years, and elder dragons at this point in time are hundreds of thousands of years old, and all the elder dragons are his children, but not his biological children. He essentially sculpted them out of clay and magic. So all these dragons essentially start fucking each other. But again, it's okay because they weren't actual siblings. They all have the same parent, but it's not incest because they're not like biologically related. Now, if two dragons have the same mom and dad, and they do something, that's kind of bad. But again, all these elder dragons making younger dragons is not bad, because even though they have the same parent, it's not... Whatever, you get what I'm saying. God, I am a fucking weirdo. Okay, so... This dragon flipped the fuck out, and he gives all of his kids free reign. Like, this guy... All the dragons can just kind of do whatever they want underneath, you know, the world dragon. The world dragon immediately summoned all dragons to his banner and declared war on humanity. And he essentially did what can only be described as magical 9/11. So this is a real event in real life. Where about roughly 11,000 years ago, an asteroid hit Greenland. In real life, an asteroid hit Greenland 11,000-ish years ago, give or take a few hundred years. And it caused a massive flood due to, you know, melting the ice. This fucking dragon, this asshole, the world dragon, he used all of the power of himself and his kids to fucking drag an asteroid from space to hit Greenland, which flooded a shitload of this civilization's cities. Before then flying him and his boys to the cities to fucking torch them. The humans did not enjoy essentially going through magical 9/11, and the humans were a shitload stronger than any of the dragons thought possible. So the dragons thought this would be an easy, clean victory. They thought they were literally, this was going to be an extermination, but it was not. Hold on, I'm going to get a picture of that. Oh, I'm going to get a... Nah, that's fair. Nah, that's fair. W. So, these guys... The dragons got an immediate success because, again, they killed thousands of people. They killed millions of people with this flood. They then went to a city, tried torching it, and they got fucking knocked right the fuck back by legions of brass automatons and the wizards themselves. Now, again, it would take hundreds of wizards. Even if you had the wizards who had dozens of magical crystals inside them, so wizards who were insanely powerful, it would still take like at least a dozen to match even a single strong dragon in a fight. Hundreds of normal wizards. So, but the thing is, there was a limited amount of dragons. There were millions of wizards and brass automatons as well. So because of this war, although many human cities were destroyed, this war was actually looking like the humans would win. Like, the humans were just stronger than the dragons. Like, dragons... If 20 of your strongest wizards die to kill a single elder dragon, that is an unreplaceable being. Again, elder dragons at this point are hundreds of thousands of years old. The world dragon created created his original, kids like a few 100,000 years ago. So he was losing these warriors that were hundreds of thousands of years old, and even though he created them, he can't just create an elder dragon overnight. He'd have to essentially create a normal dragon that would take him a lot of time. It's a handcrafted piece of art, and allow it thousands of years to become stronger, because dragons get stronger with age. And if a male dragon and female dragon fuck and they make kids, that process takes decades. Dragons are a very long-lived, slow-producing species. So dragons, the longer this war went on, the more they were getting their ass whooped because there were less and less of them. But again, they were still taking out thousands of wizards with these. But again, the wizards were winning. Eventually, though, but again, this was not an easy victory for the humans. Like, the humans were winning, but it was hard. Think about it like World War II for the United States. Like, World War II... I would say it was much harder. In terms of how difficult it was for humans, the halfway point between America in World War II and the Soviets in World War II. The Soviets were literally deploying everything they had and had most of their shit destroyed. Meanwhile, the Americans were just putting their full bags into the war, but the homeland was fine. It was kind of like the mid between that. I would say it's more to the Soviet side, because a lot of human shit was still destroyed by dragons. Not just the flood, the actual dragons themselves. Again, 5 elder dragons drop on a city. That's a fucking apocalypse. Like, even if you have really strong wizards there, and a lot of cities didn't, even if you had said really strong wizards, that'd be like having your local police force armed with pocket knives trying to take down a gorilla trying to take down a gorilla on cocaine. Like, that's what fighting an elder dragon's like. Like, you can still stab it and hold it. It's gonna fucking kill you, though. It's gonna take a lot of you. It's gonna be death by 1,000 cuts. But anyway, because of how hard this war was on the humans, they went to the Angel X program, and they fucking expedited it. They were really pumping a lot of shit into these new brass automaton that were made out of this weird energy. This pissed the dragons off more, and eventually, though, they finished Angel X. They summoned enough dark power to actually power Angel X. They turned him online, and a quarter of their military, which were these uber powerful, robots. Again, you had the normal brass automaton that were made out of normal souls. They stayed loyal, the wizards stayed loyal. All of the robots made from this dark energy fucking declared independence and just started fucking genociding humanity. So now humanity was getting fucking jumped by fucking dragons and by their own toasters. And the dragons were also killing these robots, and the robots were also killing dragons. So now it became a 3-way war. Now, humanity was still holding strong, but what really fucking killed humanity is, those elven slaves? You know how the elves were fucking factory farmed like chickens just to create more and more and more, magical crystals? They rebelled. And there were millions of them in the human homeland, and most soldiers were not in the human homeland because they were fighting these fucking dragons. Yeah. Well, the dragons were doing a good thing, because drawing power from that hellish dimension was just it was infecting Earth. Like, Earth was getting completely fucked over by this. Like, the atmosphere, like, they couldn't tell at the time, because drawing a little bit of power wasn't bad, but the more power they drew, the more it began fucking up Earth. But I'll get into that in a sec. So, humanity had fucking magical Vietnam with a lot of their cities flooding due to due to fucking the dragons causing massive floods. Then they got jumped by dragons, pushed the dragons back at great cost, invested into a brand new type of military force, had said military force fucking rebel against them, began to consolidate back in the homeland, which is Antarctica. Then they had the fucking slaves who again, elf wizards are stronger than human wizards. Now the elf slaves who were once held captive by the brass automaton fucking, rebelled And so now they lost the homeland, and because of this, they could no longer make magical crystals. Also, the reason the elves rebelled, now and not later. I'm sorry, the reason the elves rebelled now and not earlier is a number of reasons. First and foremost, the human capital was really fucking guarded. Like, really fucking guarded. Also, the elven populations were always kept medium-sized to prevent something like this. But due to this war, they began just cranking out elves as much as possible. So they could have, they could, you know, replace the destroyed lacrimose. Because if someone is killed, and their body is, like, kind of fucked up as they get killed, the magical crystals break. So if someone dies a nice peaceful death in their bed, or they get decapitated, the magical crystals stay intact, but if the body gets, like, really banged up, the crystals get destroyed. So they also got kicked out of their homeland, and due to this, while still getting jumped by the robots and getting jumped by dragons, humanity just kind of fucking collapsed, and all the colonies just kind of split up just to get solo targeted by either robots or dragons. So the human empire fell, but the robots... Hold on, I'm gonna read that comment. Yeah, that's fail. Well, I hate the idea of empires falling just because of a single action. That's why this really powerful human empire got jumped from all sides. Oh, nice peaceful city, dragon Vietnam, dragons fucking attack everything. Oh, what's that? You have a new robot army? Fucking turns against you. Oh, what's that? Your elf slaves that are all wizards? Fucking turn against you. And all the colonies get picked off one by one. Anyway, the dragons... I'm sorry, not the dragons. The robots, like the robots led by Angel X, they wanted to essentially flood the world with power from the deep. The dragons did not fucking like that, and they essentially built a massive well, known as the Well of Eternity, where they were flooding the world with this horrific type of power. The dragons, especially the World Dragon and all the remaining Elder Dragons, attacked this portal and fought the majority of these robots. The dragons and robots clashed, and Angel X fought the World Dragon. The World Dragon is the strongest creature the planet has ever given birth to. This dimension has ever given birth to. And the World Dragon was able to defeat Angel X, but was left permanently poisoned, damage to his soul, and his body was forever left crippled. So the World Dragon got hobbled from this fight, but was able to kill Angel X. And the remaining World Dragons were able to kill the remaining of these robots. But due to all this fighting next to the world engine, I'm sorry, the world well, or the well drawing power from, you know, the deep. It kind of, the dragons were able to destroy it, but it overloaded itself and essentially blew up. And this then created an ice age. This ice age did not last nearly as long, long as the actual ice age, but it still plunged the world in the darkness for a while. And that is why dragons are so rare, because most of them died in this war against humanity and then the war against the machines. Also, any remaining human colonies were visited by the dragons and were fucking torched. Oh, hell yeah. The best way to describe the World Dragon versus Angel X would be your immune system successfully fighting off Ebola. Because the World Dragon is a creature that the Earth created. And it's there to protect the Earth and its creatures. Now, one thing to note is that the World Dragon does have direct power over his kids, but he's usually very loose with it. He doesn't like being a dictator. So the dragons, not after going to all of the human colonies from this empire, fucking killing everything, destroying everything. The reason why there's still dungeons with cool shit though, is because the dragons were not always able to find the dungeons. So that's why, for example, in the medieval times, you'll have, oh shit, let's go raid that dungeon, because the dragons, when destroying shit, couldn't find it. Yeah, but the dragons were fucking vengeful. Most of the dragons were wiped out by either humans or the bullshit humans were fucking with. So because of this, right, the dragons didn't just, again, this empire was not all of humanity. It was a single human group from Antarctica that slowly expanded. If you look at like the genetics and the history of even the people in Australia, the people in Asia, these were not Asians, and a colony of these people in Asia were not Asian. They were still, you know, what's the word? Antarctican. I just came up with a new dumbass word. They were still Antarctican because they did not breed with the natives, at least not much. So it was just only one group of people. But anyway, the dragons wanted to kill all sentient life. They then showed out a little bit because they realized that it wasn't all sentient life did it. It was just humans. So they wanted to kill all fucking humans. Even some like random African dude who had nothing to do with it. Some random Chinese dude who had nothing to do with it. Hold on. Thank you. Me and the Antarcticans are very happy that you're excited. So, anyway, the dragons wanted to kill all humans. The world dragon forbidden his children, his sentient children, from killing all humans. Only allowed to kill humans who were essentially Antarctican, either in cultural, genetics, or were associated with them. So all of these guys were fucking wiped out. Except for some people in bunkers, but they eventually starved. So, or a handful of them actually did survive and did, you know, eventually come out of their bunkers to breed with, you know, native humans. But by then they would have lost their technology. Like they would have lost a couple hundred people hiding in a bunker in fucking Kansas. They are not the fucking scientists who created Angel X. It's some random fucking dudes who are just colonists who don't know how to make magical crystals. They don't know how to make blast automaton. And even if they did, they don't have the industrial capacity. So even if they survived, they lost the technology over thousands of years. Especially in the fact there was a fucking dark age after this. Well, there was literally a what's the fucking word? It was a Ice Age, that's the word. Yeah, so because of this, current humans, you know, like standard medieval humans, don't know how to make magical crystals or make brass automaton, but they can find them in dungeons, and they can use the crystals in dungeons. They know how to implant them in people, but they don't know how to extract them from people, and they also don't know how to create them. And that's the other thing, is I think the concept of lost technology is something I find interesting. Like, do you know China had one of the most advanced, like, pre-industrialization navies in the whole world? Do you want to know why they lost it by the time the Europeans showed up? A single emperor, I'm coughing so much. A single Chinese emperor said, hey, I don't like trading with people. Burned all the ships. And in less than 40 years... Hold on, I'm gonna read your comment. Bro, I fucking love Fallout. Bro, I'm planning on doing a video soon. I actually meant to do this for my birthday, but I was lazy. Doing a video on all my favorite franchises and why the creators keep fucking ruining it. Marvel, Star Wars, Fallout. 40K, I think, is doing pretty good out of them, but female custodians and the absolute retardation with the, Terminus decree. I think 40K is still going strong, but there was a lot of just stupid stuff they've added to it. But all in all, I think 40K is doing strong, but like Transformers is in a shitty spot, Halo's in a shitty spot. Fallout is in a good spot, but I don't like what they're doing. Fallout, they're doing a lot of good stuff, but they're doing good stuff, but not paying attention to the lore I like, and they're going in a direction I don't really like. So like a lot of my favorite franchises aren't going in directions I like. But no, I fucking love Fallout, especially classic Fallout. But yeah, this is a really cool setting that I've been working on for a while, and like there's just a lot of cool shit that I've been coming up with in this world. Fallout New Vegas. So here's the thing about Fallout New Vegas. I have dyslexia, so playing Fallout is really hard. The only Fallout game I've ever been able to play is Fallout 4 because of the chat wheel. I know that going down, like clicking down on the chat wheel meant yes, up meant no, then there was, curious and sarcastic. That's the only Fallout game I can play because I have dyslexia. I can play with my reading pen, of course, but that's annoying, tedious, and I just didn't enjoy it. The amount of fucking lore videos I've watched about all of the Fallout games is insane. The lore and the world building around Fallout 1, 2, and New Vegas, oh my god, it is so fucking incredible. It is beautiful. It is wonderful. Fallout 4 it's still Fallout. I still love Fallout 4. It's a step. It's still not what I look for, though. It's like Diet Soda. Like, imagine you're a big fan of Coke, and someone hands you a Diet Pepsi. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want a regular Coke. I don't want a Diet Pepsi, but I'm still gonna drink the Diet Pepsi. I still like it. I feel like the Fallout TV show, though, the Fallout TV show was just very blatant with, oh yeah, these witch guys. Yeah, they're the guys who, ruin the world. I don't like that. I want the mystery of it. I'm not a big fan that they were just very upfront about, oh yeah, these witch men, they blew up the fucking world. I'm not a huge fan of that. I also don't like that they fucking destroyed the New California Republic. Like, dog, the New California Republic's fucking awesome. Hold on, I'm gonna read that comment. Alright. Back to fantasy. So, I also tied a lot of cool shit to... Okay, so I came up with the main world, the main fantasy... I realize now that I've fucking been yapping about the power system, about this and that. I haven't talked about the main fucking world. That would be... So, there's multiple time periods in the main canon. Whoa! Oh, no. Oh, God. So, again, my world is a setting. It's not a single story. The original time periods, everything I talked about with the World Dragon, I still had the World Dragon as a concept, but all that shit is literally lore I came up with last month. All that shit is brand fucking new. So, in this, in this world, there are multiple different time periods, and obviously if you want to tell a story, you can go on different time periods. There's the Old Roman Empire, which is, Rome before they actually became a full empire. This would be like, Rome back when they were still contained to Italy. The Mid-Roman Empire, pretty much the early, middle, end of Rome. The middle would be, the height of Rome. The end is obviously when Rome was collapsing. And, the beginning when Rome was still starting out. There are, obviously explorations in the center. Hold on. Well, okay, I'm going to be so honest. Here's one thing that kind of annoys me about people. People will drink people don't know what caffeine is. caffeine is a fucking drug. It's a psychedelic. Hold on. Yeah, hell yeah. So I limit my caffeine intake until certain times. So it was raining one day, so I just chugged like a whole energy drink in like a single sip. And I just fucking walked around the woods for like 5 hours while it was raining. And because it was raining, I didn't get dehydrated because I just opened my mouth and just drank the rainwater. So I was just fucking walking around the woods for like 5 hours, and I just came up with this bullshit. And do you want to know how like the prequel started? I had this idea that I should make Australia inhabitable. And so I'm gonna have this lake in Australia. But then I had this idea, hey, there's this lake in Australia, I think there should be an island in the center, and there should be this ancient city. Oh, hey, I had this idea a long time ago about these ancient, like, brass automaton people find. How about this city created them? Wait, that's fucking sick. Wait, how about I had this idea where this ancient city actually ruled the world, and that's why there's dungeons everywhere? Hold on. What if I had this idea where they could fucking turn people in the crystal, where they could turn, like, magic in the crystals? Holy shit. So I literally, that entire fucking prequel, like with the World Dragon, Angel X, that all started with the idea, and hey, I should make Australia more habitable. Because Australia did have natives, of course, before, you know, before the British showed up. But it was a very small amount, and I just didn't really know much about them. So I was like, hey, and I know they're like fairly sparsely populated because of Australia being shitty and a desert. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna make it, you know, less of a desert. So that's where I had this whole idea from with this ancient civilization stuff. So you have the early, middle, you know, late woman. Then you have, well, the early, middle, and late Middle Ages. Then you have, you know, a time period in there. Hold on, I'm gonna read that comment. Fuck yeah, absolutely. Dog, I was literally sitting there in the fucking woods, just like fucking walking around meditating while just tweaking the fuck out on caffeine. And I was like, yeah, oh my god. So then these guys, you know, they created a fucking angel. Wait, how'd they create an angel? Oh my god, they killed Archangel Gabriel. They killed fucking Gabriel. They shoved his ass in a robot, but then Gabriel didn't want to do anything, so they fucking, oh my god, how did they power Gabriel? Wait, I don't know how they powered Gabriel. Hey, how about there's this power source underneath all of the other dimensions, and that's how, you know, they got the shit. So literally, the idea that all the fucking, all of the different dimensions, including heaven, hell, and all planet, are all, like, floating on top of, an ocean, I literally got that idea from, hey, how the fuck did they power Angel X? And I got the Angel X idea from, hey, how did civilization collapse? Oh, they created some bullshit they shouldn't be. Oh, well, how, was it Angel X destroyed him? No, the World Dragon did. Why did the World Dragon do it? Oh, because the World Dragon hates this type of magic. He's racist against it. Well, okay, I say racist, meanwhile, this fucking magic actually just corrupts and destroys. Again, you have actual fucking demonic magic just, like, regularly being used, and it's kind of fine? Like, you probably shouldn't be fucking with it, but you shouldn't be fucking with it in the same way you shouldn't be fucking with, like, you know, what's the electricity? Like, you can still master it. It's just a bit dangerous. This stuff is like actual just fucking poison. Yeah, I am always going a million miles. Oh, hey, the other guy's still here. Hey, John Scarecrow, I hope you have a fantastic day. Have a good night, man, and thank you for watching so much. God bless you. Alright. Alright. So, Sonic. So, and then we have, you know, the Renaissance era, and then, you know, we have, you know, the Europeans just kind of fucking taking a bunch of cocaine and just kind of taking over the whole world for a little bit. Hold on. Yeah, W. John. Yeah, so we have all these different time periods, and like the different, like, for example, you know, early like, there's different types of orcs, for example. The more, like, primitive, angry types of orcs don't really exist anywhere the Romans existed because they fucking killed them all. But they still existed in, like, Northern Europe and all those areas until the Renaissance era. Because Rome collapsed, then there was essentially 3 big time periods of... Shit, I might grab something to eat soon. I'm getting kind of hungry. So, then you had these... So, these orcs got fucking genocided because they were more violent and just kind of douchebags. These were, like, the most typical, like, super buff asshole orcs. They got genocided throughout all of, you know, the Roman territories. All of the Dark Ages was humanity trying to figure their shit out while getting fucking jumped by everybody. Because other races wanted their payback after getting fucked up for so long. And not to mention just humans having to figure shit out after the empire collapsed. So after that, during the Renaissance when people began figuring their shit out, orcs were essentially removed from Europe. Oh, well, not all orcs. The more, like, chilled out orcs who were essentially just like the Amish, they just wanted to chill out and farm, they were left to be. Or they even joined, like, humans. Like, okay, I'm a big fan of visual storytelling. Visual storytelling, in my opinion, is the greatest form of storytelling. You should be able to tell everything you need to know about the time period, the society, the class difference, all by going through a town, going to the bar, and just walking around some neighborhoods. If you are at a town, and the dwarves are eating in the dwarf bar, no, if you're going to a town and it's only humans, that's one racist ass town. They probably killed or kicked everyone else out. But or a town that's just dwarves, or a town that's just this and that. But if you go to a town, you know, and the dwarves are drinking with the humans are drinking with the minotaurs, that's probably a really chill town where most people are, you know, together. It's only like class differences, where the rich people eat in their areas and live in their own areas, meanwhile these guys live in their own areas. But a different area will have abhumans living with humans. A different town will have abhumans living in their own town. A different area will have abhumans living with demi-humans. You know? And the culture should reflect that. Like, racism is unfortunately a very prominent part of society, and I want it featured that way. So, for example, you know, you'll have a town where abhumans and... Hold on, I gotta read that comment. Hell yeah, absolutely. So, you know, you'll have one town where a human will look at a person with cat ears, like a normal, a person who has cat ears and a cat tail, but essentially pure human. And they'll be like, oh, you fucking dirty animal. I don't want you eating in my restaurant. You disgust me. You make me sick. Get out of here before I kill you. And then you'll have that same fucking cat person 5 minutes later looking at a demi-human. Like, you know, a person who essentially a cat who evolved to become more human-like instead of a human who evolved to be more animal-like. You'll have that same human who evolved to be more animal-like looking at an animal that evolved to be more human-like. That same fucking cat person who just dealt with that racism look at a more like animalistic cat person and be like, you dirty, filthy vermin, you make me sick. It is so funny. Meanwhile, in a different area, abhumans and demi-humans are kind of vibing together. A different area, you know, dwarves are, you know, vibing with the abhumans and demi-humans. I like that. I like that concept on how different societies would deal with it. I imagine the areas like Italy, you know, the more Roman areas, would be a lot more chill towards abhumans. Because, again, abhumans, the people who are humans, but they, via magic or, you know, via evolution, they became out a little wacky. They're pretty chill with them. Like, Romans were really open-minded to them. And that's because the Romans would look at a cat person and be like, hey, you're really light on your feet. I think you should, you know, work for my construction company because you could, you know, do roofing really well. They'll look at a cow man and be like, hey, you're really fucking strong. I think you should, do this shit. Or, lift bricks for my construction company. Yeah, it is. It is sad. Like, racism is a very real thing, and it is horrible. Like, racism is horrible. It hurts so many people, and it's generations of this hate. But it is unfortunately a part of luckily now it's better, but it's unfortunately a part of human culture. And look at like real racism, like you'll have in a real society not that long ago, let's say a British dude looking at a dude from India like, oh, you're disgusting, I hate you. Meanwhile, that British dude will also look at a Jewish person and be like, oh, you're disgusting, I hate you. Meanwhile, that Jewish person is also looking at the Indian dude saying, oh, you're disgusting, I hate you. It's all a cycle of just stupidity and ignorance. Meanwhile, everyone's just kind of vibing. Every human is just trying to survive. Every human's just out to do the exact same thing. But unfortunately, people have these prejudices. So, in my world, to kind of talk about, that subject, that very sad subject, having an actual orc, a dwarf, all that stuff, a lot more like exaggeratory than essentially all just humans. Like all races were all the same thing. Meanwhile, an orc is actually a little different. But the best, most prosperous societies like Rome in the Middle Empire was so prosperous because they had all these different races working together. Yeah, that's true. But, so Rome was a really, in all real life, Rome was this really weird thing. Hold on. Yeah, so Rome in real life was this really weird organism. Because you would have a Roman who's like genetically Italian, genetically Roman from Italy, walking alongside someone from France, walking from someone from England. It wasn't called England, and it wasn't called France at the time, but still same area. All three of them would work together, but all three of them hated each other because they were all different races, but they all had to work together because they were Roman. Meanwhile, you would have someone who's genetically Scottish who's enslaved to someone in Italy, but that dude who's genetically Scottish, who's been like enslaved the Romans for generations, would be racist to someone from France because they're not a real Roman. So that's so fucking it's funny, but it's also horrifying. So Rome in real life was this weird thing where you had all these different human groups working together, but also suppressing one another. It was so weird. So it's kind of like the same in this world, where you had certain groups of people who were enslaved, certain groups of people who were doing the enslavement. Meanwhile, you'd have an abhuman, dwarf who was not enslaved, doing his own thing, working with Rome to make weapons, make tools, do all this shit. And over time, Rome became so strong because they were pretty chill and they wanted every race to do what they were best at. Humans are kind of... Another thing that does kind of annoy me is humans being like this generic jack of all traits thing. Humans are not. Humans, even the animal kingdom, humans are so strong because we have great cardio. I imagine we're still kind of like that. Like a human will have better cardio than a dwarf. A human will have better cardio than... Hold on, what'd you say? Yeah. Humans are like a lot weaker than any other, species of great apes. Like humans, obviously very similar to chimpanzees. A chimpanzee can physically whip your face off. But due to the type of weaker muscle fibers humans have way better cardio than that. And also due to humans being relatively thin compared to other, compared to, like, let's say a gorilla, humans have better cardio and can, regain their cardio faster. So a dwarf might be stronger, but it has shittier cardio. And I feel like the benefits that humans have aren't really shown in most fantasy media. Most fantasy media, humans are just a super generic plain race that don't specialize in anything. Humans are just fucking specialized in cardio. So yeah, that's a something I've thought about. And so like again, you know, you'll have a let's say a dog person, you know, who's a hunter, you know, a wolf, you know, a cow man who, you know, it works in construction. Hold on, what do you say, Gil? Dog. There was a story in this universe where the British broke away from the Catholic Church. And they started fucking around with shit they shouldn't be. And the British Church began attempting to summon demons to enslave them. They wanted to summon demons to enslave them because they thought if they enslaved the demons, that this would make essentially God happy. By the way, God is implied to be in this universe, but he's never shown, again, because I want to kind of avoid that. So angels are an actual being that exists. God, not so much. So the main reason why the Protestant referendum happened in this world is because the Catholic Church wanted to be, you know, hey, don't do anything with demons besides kill them, and the British were like, They accidentally summoned a demon that was way stronger than they intended to. They summoned fucking Beelzebub. You know, like the fly demon. And, he burnt half of London down. Hold on. Yeah, so fucking they accidentally summoned Beelzebub because they were fucking around. And he torched half the city before eventually being put down. So they fucking summoned Beelzebub on pure accident because they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They summon him in, burns out half of London. They kill him, but before being, you know, sent back to hell, he decides to do what's called a pro-gamer move, and he summons thousands of demonic flies and curses humanity. Well, essentially, essentially there's a small chance if someone dies, or if one of these flies, you know, encounters someone who's already dead in the grave, they'll just turn into a zombie. And that's just something people have to deal with now. After the British started fucking around with shit they shouldn't be, now there's just a small chance a zombie outbreak would just happen. Because they fucking summoned Beelzebub. So yeah, the British wanting to fuck around with shit they shouldn't have fucked over the entire world. I want to clarify though, zombies are not like a hard deal, like a hard thing to deal with. Like they spread fairly slowly compared to like actual zombies. I say actual. The fuck do I mean actual zombies? Well, what I mean by it is they spread fairly slowly compared to like most zombies in fiction, and they're fairly easy to deal with even with like medieval technology. But that's still a pain in the ass. Like humanity went from, oh, grandpa died, cut his stomach open to grab all the magical crystals because your 9-year-old nephew wants to fly around, to, oh, your grandpa died, you might wanna bury him quick in case he comes back. So yeah, that's a lot of bullshit that people are, and yeah, it also, that virus can also infect abhumans and demi-humans. So because of mostly the actions of like normal humans, now everyone's a little fucked. So yeah, that's some random. There's this one creature, this one demon. Okay, so hold on, I need to read that. That's gonna be one funny ass comment. Well, okay, so here's the thing, right? Beelzebub's not the one who boned down England necessarily. he was just spreading plagues everywhere and zombie virus. The English burnt down their own city to prevent the spread. So, the entirety of England could fall to the zombie virus, or they could fucking torch their capital city with the hopes of stopping it, which they were successful, and then they were able to kill Beelzebub, because Beelzebub himself was kind of weak, at least compared to, like, an archangel. It was mostly his magical bullshit that was the issue. So they, after burning down that and taking down most of the zombies, they were able to kill Beelzebub. Well, send him back to hell where he's still alive, and probably fucking emoting that he's always just kind of fucking with humans now. Oi, chaps! I think we should summon demons to make God happy. No, but that's... I feel like if given the power to do so, that's some bullshit people would do. Like Loki. Yeah, so... Oh yeah, there's this demon. Okay, not necessarily a demon. So, you know how I said a while ago, human souls don't go to heaven or hell when they die? There was essentially a dimension that's... All dimension is split into two areas, the physical and the immaterial. So, well, gods kind of exist in both... Let's say in the realm of heaven. Angels exist in the physical and the material, but the physical and the material is one and the same. On our world, it's two different spots, where your soul exists in the immaterial, but your body exists in the material. So, because of this, there's different areas of this world, where some areas are nice and calm, and that's where, you know, people, that's where most good people end up, because it's easier for them to exist there, they get drawn to it instead of, you know, being drawn to the shitholes. Meanwhile, kind of shittier people get drawn to the kind of shittier areas of this ocean. Again, when I say ocean, this is not that bullshit ocean where they drew power from and created Angel X. This is more just like the Immaterium. This is a healthy magical area. In the shittier bullshit area, there is... So pretty much, this area is essentially made out of the thoughts of souls. So again, shittier areas, shittier souls, nicer areas, nicer souls. One of the dragons who was killed by humans during the Great War cursed humans that human greed and human evil would come back to bite them. And this manifested in every 100 years on October 1st, or the equivalent of October 1st. Because again, the calendar wasn't made that early, whatever, I'm not getting into that bullshit. Anyway, on October 1st, this demon just spawns into our world and just exists to kind of fuck around and just cause chaos and negatively impact the human species. This demon is powerful, it can shapeshift, and it would be... the demon is insane. In terms of how strong the demon is, it's not like unmanageable. Like, it's not a Beelzebub situation. Like, Beelzebub would easily kill this demon. Okay, I call them demons. The demon Beelzebub is a different entity than this demon. This demon is just essentially human soul residue was kind of scraped off the edges by this dragon's curse, and this demon is essentially a living embodiment of that. Also, in actual, like, mythology, well, Christian mythology, demons and angels are the same thing. Demons are just, you know, fallen angels. Demons are a fully different species and a fully different thing than angels. They just kind of hate each other. They kind of hate each other like Tom and Jerry style, which is like, man, fuck you. Then they're like, man, fuck you. So anyway, this thing just kind of spawns in every 100 years on October 1st. And we'll essentially seek out the strongest human, or at least some of the strongest humans, and we'll essentially fight them. And we'll attempt to kill them. And if the human is able to beat them, they get sent back and the 100-year countdown starts again. And, you know, if not, then the demon probably ends up picking a fight with someone that can't win and gets jumped by like 50 dudes, and then gets sent back to the spawn room, back to the gulag. Yeah, that demon just used to exist like for no reason. Like, it was just kind of there. I thought it was a cool idea, so I was like, yeah, man, fuck it, I'm gonna make this into an idea. But then when I was coming up with this, when I was on caffeine in the woods where I was raining, I had this idea, hey, what if that demon exists because some fucking dragon cursed humans to suffer their own, sins? So yeah, that's also a problem people just kind of have to deal with. I mean, shit, probably. Well, originally, my universe was just all universe with fucking magic duct tape to it. But then I began flushing it out and changing a lot of different things. And really thinking, how would magic, impact technology? Like, something about swords that I find something that people don't know about swords. The heaviest sword ever used by humans, like actually in combat, was the Scottish Claymore at 15 pounds. 15 pounds is not heavy, but, okay, take a shovel, lift the shovel up normally, it's super light. Hold the shovel at the very end, and extend your arm outward with the shovel being straight. That is nearly impossible. Well, it's possible if you're strong enough, of course, but that shovel becomes like 10 times more heavy. So a sword, given that the weight is like distributed fairly well, a 15-pound sword is really fucking heavy if it's extended outward and you're swinging that shit. What kind of weapons would people come up with if you have Steve Rogers' super soldiers just running around? So, like, what kind of bullshit would people be doing? Like, would people be having 50-pound swords? Like, oh, would you actually have, like, the fucking sword from Berserk? Probably not. I don't think people are that strong in my verse, but... Like, would you have armor? Armor also was fairly light. Like, armor was like 80 pounds distributed throughout the entire body. Would you have armor that weighs 200 pounds? That's just really fucking thick? I also came up with, that whole wound power system I came up with? Well, I'm sorry, wound. Where, like, you inscribe runes onto metal and it makes it stronger or gives it certain magical properties. I actually came up with that. Essentially make metal stronger, because I was sitting there thinking, if we have Steve Rogers-esque things fucking swinging swords at each other, that's just not gonna work out, because real-life swords would bend if under enough force. I saw your comment, but I wasn't able to pull my reading pen out in time. So, like, real-life, really strong, like, physically strong soldiers... Hold on, I'm reading your comment. Yeah, so like, real-life soldiers that are really strong could slam their swords together and fucking break the sword. So I was like, if you have fucking Steve Rogers, like the average soldier being fucking Steve Rogers, and they slam their swords together, that's gonna fucking break, especially with ancient-ass metalworking. That would break now. Having two gorillas fucking bang swords together, that's gonna break now. Now make the gorillas way stronger, and have the swords be shittier because it's made out of old-school metalworking. That's why if you engrave runes onto metal, it becomes just way stronger. Because I thought that was a bit of a plot hole and kind of a shitty aspect to my universe that I came up with a solution for. It also allows you to, like, equip lower-level magical bullshit to your weapon. Again, low level. Again, if you want to, like, have high-level shit, if you kill a fire dragon, you can straight up trap the fire dragon in your sword. Like, it's both its soul and its magic. And you now have a fire sword. But if you want a low-level fire sword, you can inscribe some runes onto it, and now, like, the sword's really hot. But, like, it's only hot, like, sometimes. So you can have, like... So mostly runes only do, like, durability. And, like, they make it cut better or they make it handle better. But you can't have low level magic, but it's kind of shitty. But again... If you want a lightning sword, you have to go out, kill a wizard like a big boy, and trap that fucking wizard in your sword. You know what I mean? But no, I really like the universe. I think fantasy has to be my like favorite genre. And well, I'm a big fan of both fantasy and sci-fi. Like sci-fi is also something I really, really love. And given the fact that my favorite like franchise in the whole world is 40K, which is 40K is not a science fiction franchise; it's science fantasy. I think that's probably why I have some bullshit like Angel X being a magical robot and Brass Automaton. So I think again, given my favorite franchises, Marvel, DC. Well, okay, Marvel and DC are really low on that list. Like my favorite franchises. Would have my top favorite franchises has to be 40K, then Warhammer Fantasy. So Warhammer 40K, Warhammer Fantasy, Fallout, Star Wars, and then hold on. Oh well, fucking yeah, hell yeah, like. Well, trapping shit in shit is from funny shit. Like, for example, Constantine the Great in my world is debatably the second strongest human that will live. And he was so strong for a number of reasons. First of all, he was possessed by the Archangel Michael. Like, just actually possessed. So because of that, that gave him just a shitload of strength. Like cartoonish levels of strength. And on top of that, hold on. Blue Heatle is not working well. Oh shit, Blue Heatle got taken down. God damn it. I'm having fun talking with you, so I'm just gonna find some random bullshit to play, I guess. Yeah, I'm gonna play this. Yeah, so Constantine the Great, possessed by a fucking wizard. I'm sorry, possessed by Archangel Michael. On top of that, he was also just a master ore user, and he was a master martial artist. At one point in time, he fucking, given how strong he was, given how empowered he was by the angel possessing him, he killed a dragon and trapped it in a fucking sword. This sword would later become Excalibur, which was then used by King Arthur. So I love, including lapping different stories in different stories. I guess if I have to, I'll play the Sonic Speed Simulator. Yo, I think Roblox is fucking down. It's not working. None of the games are working. Yeah, so, like, Constantine the Great directly led to... Hold on, what do you say? Yeah, Constantine the Great directly led to King Arthur and all that bullshit. So that's something I find cool. No, give me a Monster Energy, a rainy day, and just a fucking day to walk around. I'm gonna come up with some random bullshit. This is definitely like the most... Holy shit, I've been yapping for 2 goddamn hours. Thank you for listening. Yeah, so I've been, looking into... I have a lot of different franchises. This is definitely the most, like, thought out one. This is definitely, like, the most thought out one. I do have a video on my YouTube channel. It came out, like... Hold on, when did it come out? It came out recently. It came out 11 days ago. That video is about a different universe I came up with. Now, I'm not really happy with that video's production. It was the first video I made where I recorded it on my PlayStation, and I uploaded it to YouTube on PlayStation. I was not happy with it. I didn't think the video turned out that well. But, like, the general idea of that universe can still be conveyed in that video if you do watch it. I'm not going to get into it again. I'm tired. It's 4 o'clock. I might be having to call it somewhat soon. I'm not too sure. Hold on. I gotta read your comment. Oh, yeah. Well, I have a couple. Okay, I'll tell you what. I really do enjoy talking to you, but again, it is like a bit hard because I have to use the reading pen and I'm streaming, so like we won't be able to talk to each other a lot. Again, I'm an actual retard when it comes to technology. So if I tell you my Discord name, would you be able to like send me a what's the word? Like a friend thing? I don't know what it's called. Listen, I'm gonna be so honest. I've only had Discord for like a few months because my friend bugged me to get it. I don't know how anything fucking works. Like I don't. Yeah, so I don't know how anything really on Discord works, but if I send you my name, or if I read my name out to you, could you like send me like an invite or something where we could become friends on Discord? Hold on, what'd you say now? Alright, do you have a Discord? Hold on, Mr. Sonic, do you have a Discord? Since I do one, I do want. Your message kind of cut out. I hold probably next time because you do one. Hold on. Oh yeah, that sounds good. I might stream tomorrow, but I'm not too sure if I will. Anyway, but what I do know is I don't know where you're from, but it is 4:30. I am exhausted. I need to hop in the shower and go to sleep. I had a lot of fun, streaming. I had a lot of fun meeting you. But I will catch you later. I'm gonna say good night. And thank you so much for letting me fucking just yap about my fantasy universe for 2 hours. That was a lot of fun. Anyway, night, Mr. Sonic. My Discord is essentially just my YouTube name. It's just Lisp Hamill, but without the space. Hold on, what'd you say? Yeah. My Discord name is Lisp Hamill, but without the space in the center. And if I get if I have any random people just text me pictures of Sonic, I'm just gonna assume it's you. Good night, my friend.